What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the 2 Feet on the Ground Gravity Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and as usual, I am really excited about today's guest. Today I'm being joined by friend and musician Nelson Emokpae of Nelly'sEcho. Really enjoyed my conversation with him. I always enjoy connecting with him, and I think you're going to enjoy it too. But before we get into that, I want to first talk about our podcast sponsor. Our sponsor is Service Peace Warriors. Service Peace Warriors is a 501c3 nonprofit who's dedicated to our veterans who are coming home with war-related PTSD and other disabilities. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the rising statistic of veteran suicide is up to 24 a day. And ladies and gentlemen, that is not okay. Service Peace Warriors' goal and commitment is to place as many service animals in the hands of veterans per year to get them connected with the help that they need. And they do this at no cost to the veteran. It's absolutely free. Thank you for considering supporting Service Peace Warriors. If you want to know more about them or ways that you can contribute, go to servicepeacewarriors.org today and check it out. With that, we're going to get into Nelson Emokpae. He was on season 3 of The Voice. I connected with him when he was doing a West Coast tour celebrating Jamie and my wedding anniversary. I can't remember what number it was. And I was just absolutely amazed by his talent in performing. And you're going to hear today that he's not into producing music. That's not the commodity that he is sending out. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You got to listen to find out. Really enjoyed this conversation, and I really enjoy this friendship. And with that, I say we jump over to Nelson and my conversation. What is going on, Nelson Emokpae? How are you, brother?
I'm very well, Mr. Chris Littrell. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's there's lots of things to be thankful for, and I'm in an air-conditioned house right now. I know where my food and water source are coming from later today. Right? Life is good.
I mean, I'm sure if you had to go hunt your food, you could, because you look like you're in great shape. But I'm grateful for the fact that we don't have to go hunt, and everything is provided for us. We actually live in the best times ever in the history of humankind. So I'm grateful for these times we live in.
I agree. And that's why I wanted to interview you, brother. The listeners don't know this, but if you don't mind, I'm going to kick it off with telling the Chris and Nelson story. So you, of course, were on season 3 of The Voice. You were one of the contestants. And after being on The Voice, I don't know if it was a couple years later. I want to say it's been like 8 years now. You started touring around the country, performing music, and you were over here on the West Coast. And I'm looking for a way to celebrate, I don't know what anniversary it was, the 16th to the 17th anniversary with my lovely bride. And I'm calling around and they're like, hey, there's this guy named Nelly'sEcho. He's performing. He was on The Voice. I'm like, well, he has to be good if he's on The Voice, right? We show up and you just knocked our socks off. Wow, just absolutely amazing performance. And then I think you came back the very next year. I'm not sure. I want to say maybe you came back a third year, but we had something going on to where I wasn't able to catch you in the third year. And then, of course, during COVID, I've had the opportunity to watch you, and then you've just blessed me with friendship. I remember maybe after the first year, you called me on my birthday and you sang happy birthday to me, which meant so much. And through this, I've gotten the opportunity to watch you and to see you both as a performer, but then also see you with your lovely bride, Kendra, and just watch you, the way you treat her and you talk about her. And I love what I see of you. I see character. And so that's why I wanted to interview you, or I wanted us to have this conversation
thank you
to
for
hear
that.
About your mindset, brother. It's been a wild couple years.
It has been. So there were many things you touched on, and I'll just kind of touch on the ones that come to the surface in my mind. Thank you, first of all, for having me on your podcast. I consume a lot of my information via podcast because as a musician, I drive a lot, and from location to location, city to city, state to state, and I try to gain knowledge about life, love, and everything else in between through listening to perspectives of others. It's almost like reading their books. You know, when you get to hear an author speak, it's almost like you're giving me a facet of, you're giving me a piece of your mind that might take me several days to read in a book. So I love podcasting. So the fact that you are giving me this opportunity on your platform with your tribe to share some of who I am, I'm very appreciative of that. I remember the first time I saw you and your wife. It's the good fortune I have as a musician is I get the good fortune of being able to eavesdrop in people's lives without them noticing I'm doing it, because I have that barrier of melody and rhyme and music. So it's whereas if I stared at you and smiled at you, you might think I'm creepy or something's up with that guy. But if I have a guitar and I'm singing to you and I'm staring at you and smiling at you, it's almost acceptable and accepted. So I get to observe people from my vantage point. And I remember that day when I met you and Jamie at the little cafe. I remember your energies match each other in the sense that there was a great positive aura from the both of you. But it was positive aura from Jamie, very calm, relaxed, and assertive. And from you, it was very calm, not calm at all. It was very, very, I'm here. I love you. I'm going to tell you how much I love you. So I really, really appreciate that. And we've been friends ever since.
Yes. Hey, one of the things that I don't remember if you unpacked that first performance, but later in me watching your YouTube channel, watching you on Facebook, you talk about it. You talked about it at the TEDx event in 2016 in Willington, I think it was. Wilmington. Yeah. You talk about the art of influence and winning over any audience. And where did you learn that? Was this something that you learned because you went to college to be a musician? Mm-hmm. You know, tell me more about where you learned about this relationship piece of connecting with other human beings and influencing them.
It's a good question. So the art of influencing, the art of winning over a crowd, I think that's what I called my TEDx talk, was partially informed by my nature and partially informed by my nurture. And just like a jambalaya of experiences over the years that has allowed me to kind of formulate my ideas and how to really influence people. I was rereading the book yesterday on my flight back from Austin, Texas. How to Win Friends and Influence People, I believe that's the book. I forget, is it Dale Carnegie? I could be wrong.
I know the book, I can't remember the author.
Yeah, but I was reading the book, and anyway, my idea in a nutshell of how to influence anyone is to develop a genuine curiosity and fondness for people, which will then translate to allowing that person or said group of people feeling like they're validated because you want to know more about them. So that's the nutshell of it. And if you watch any good influencer, communicator, leader, or whatever, somehow they make even the smallest member of their group or their tribe feel like they're seen and they're heard. And that's what anyone wants, anyone. So once I realized over the years that thing about people, like people want to feel like they matter. Like when they walk into a room, they're just as valuable as the next person. They want to feel like when you're talking to them, not talking around them or above them. They want to feel like that even though they might be different from you, it's not something to be detested, but something to be celebrated, something to be curious about, even if you don't celebrate it. And so once I realized that, it then informed my style of music. Now, I had a lot of mishaps along the way because over the years as a musician, I thought, I want to be that sexy, cool musician, just strumming in the background. Everyone's like, oh, I like that guy, he's sexy. Not me, because that's not my personality. At one point, I tried to be the mysterious guy. So let me be the mysterious guy, just that cool musician. Oh, what is he about? Not me. Now, who I am is goofy. I'm very goofy and I'm very corny. And once I tapped into that aspect of my personality, and I married that with my philosophy of, or what I discovered about how people want to feel seen and heard and felt. When I married my personality or my philosophy, it just produced the magic of connecting with people at the shows, in a nutshell.
Yeah. Wow. So you have not been, I mean, in some regards, if I remember correctly, you've been a musician most of your life, but that was not the way you paid the bills for a period of time. You went into physical therapy, correct?
Yeah, I'm a doctor of physical therapy.
Did you see that same principle come out in as you're treating patients? This desire, this universal desire, because that's what I hear you saying, this universal human experience, desire to be seen and heard.
Yes. Oh, and yeah, very much so. Because as a therapist, my day entailed, when I was working full time, my day entailed every day I would see 12 to 14 people coming in with the complaint of some kind of pain or dysfunction. And I noticed a trend that the correlation between good outcomes post therapy was a strong correlation. There was a strong correlation of good outcomes after therapy with relationship with the patient, making the patient feel like you care. You see them, you understand their dysfunction, not just physically, but as well mentally. It's a weird thing. You have to become like a psychologist as a physical therapist to understand the psychology of pain, the psychology of dysfunction, the psychology of trauma, and all those things, how they play into the patient's presentation. If you can't see that and validate that, you cannot move forward with the patient, which is why, sadly, we find patients being overly medicated today with cocktails of medication they don't need. Why? Because people don't want to take the time to get to know this patient and maybe prescribe a plan of care for them that is patient first, it's customized. We just kind of lump, and I'm going into a tangent right now, but because that's what I'm passionate about. But anyway, so my time as a physical therapist helped me get over my introvertness, because I'm actually an introvert to my core. I know people find it hard to believe when I tell them that, but it helped me break out of that. And the way I did that, when I first became a therapist, I had the good fortune of having two coworkers who were very, very much extroverted and type A personalities. And I would just watch them, how they interacted with their patients, and I would copy. I would copy their energy, I would copy their mannerisms, and eventually became part of a fashion of who I am. Not who I am, but a fashion of who I am. And it's helped me ever since.
You talked there a little bit ago about being curious. Celeste Headley, have you heard of Celeste Headley? She's an author. She's an NPR not interviewist. She interviews people on NPR. And she, it was either her or someone she quoted in her book, talks about, in her books, We Need to Talk. She talks about listening to people with curiosity. I think it was her grandfather who taught her everybody is great at something, or everybody has something unique about them that's interesting. And so when she interviews people, she does it with this curiosity. In my life, in my experience, especially over the last couple of years, I'm not hearing a lot of people being curious about each other. You live on the East Coast. I live on the West Coast. Maybe it's different over there. I hope it is. But what has your experience been over there in reference to people's capacity to listen with curiosity and to show empathy?
In the book I'm reading right now, it says the first chapter talked about how to not criticize people. Because think about it. I mean, I thought about it the other day myself, and you can probably attest to this to your life. I don't believe there's been an argument I've had with anyone over the past 41 years of my existence that I was able to convince them that they were wrong. It's never happened. I mean, I think I'm good at speaking and presenting my case, but almost always, I say 100%, almost always, I've never come to the point where the other person said, you know what, I am wrong. My perspective was wrong. But what I realized also is that once you just take the time to listen to someone's perspective, because for them, that's gospel. Whatever their perspective is gospel. Once you just take the time to be curious, to figure out what their perspective is, and I ask questions from a place of not judgment, but genuine curiosity, which is a skill I believe we can build. I've built that skill and I'm continuing to build that skill because I realize it's the best way to really, really get across your point. Now, if I let you talk and I ask questions and you can tell that I'm genuinely curious about your perspective, even if I disagree with your perspective, when I do present mine, the general common human courtesy is to extend you the same grace you give them, which is why I believe, as a man sows, he shall reap. If you sow grace, you reap grace. If you sow discord, you reap that. So I try through curiosity and patience to sow those things into whoever I'm conversing with. And mostly it's a crowd I'm conversing with. So people don't think that when I'm performing, I'm having a conversation. I am having a conversation. I'll give you a good example. 2 days ago, I played in Austin, Texas, and I played for a crowd that was in a beautiful home. And I played for friends of mine, but they had like the family get together and a work party. And I was removed from the crowd and I was performing for them, but they were not really like an engaged crowd because they were talking amongst themselves, networking, reconnecting, what have you. But we were having a conversation, and the conversation we were having was this. They're telling me that we are enjoying what you do because at no point have we looked at you in an adverse kind of way. We are enjoying the music and the ambiance and the canvas you're painting for us. But we want to have a conversation with our friends here. And I'm being respectful of that with the noise level, like the volume level of my music, and also the notes I choose to sing. So that way I don't crowd their conversations. I don't crowd their space with my sound or with my voice. And then after the show is over, almost everyone I come across we loved your music. We were having a conversation, but it wasn't the kind of conversation you would see at a rock concert, for example, where everyone is jumping and screaming. So you're always having a conversation. And if you show them that I respect you and I respect what you have to say, and I'm genuinely curious with regards to what this person is presenting, people will afford you the same grace and curiosity and patience as well.
Wow, I really like what you said there. I feel like that there's so much that all of us can take into our own personal lives. So much there that we can take in reference to showing people respect and empathy and putting them before us. That's what I heard you saying, because you're the musician. Whoa, time out. Isn't this about me? Right. Isn't it about me? Like I'm here to perform like this. Like I need to be louder, obviously, to where you guys start paying more attention. I love what you said there, because here's the reality. I try not to do this, but as a human being, I can be selfish. I can think it's about me in the moment. And when I do that, I miss the mark, whether it be with my wife, with my kids, whether it be at work, in my neighborhood. And I haven't seen you being missing the mark, Nelson. Over the last year and a half, it's been tough for everyone in America. It's been tough for everyone around the world. I feel like everyone universally, we've experienced loss with COVID, with political unrest, with racial tensions in America. I believe there's been a lot of loss, and there's a lot of different ways that you could have approached this loss. Some of which I'm sure you experienced. They shut down concerts. They shut down venues. That's your way of making money for you and your beautiful wife. And what I saw you doing, I see you come out with the song and then the music video, High Five. I see you trying to encourage people still. I see you still being a musician, but I see you giving back and doing everything, at least within your power, to bless people. Why do you choose that? There's so many different ways you could have approached it. And you put time and energy and effort into producing not just High Five, other music videos as well, that were very much, I believe, focused on encouraging people in a time of discouragement.
I like that. And so in times of plenty, in times of peace, in times of peace and plentiful, people still need joy. But especially in times of war, in times of distress, in pandemics, people need joy. So there's one constant thing people always need. They need joy. People crave peace. Even misery loves company, right? Everyone loves company. And I realized over the years that my gift is not my singing. I'm not the best singer in the world. I'm not the best songwriter in the world. I'm not the best guitar player in the world. My gift is giving people company and giving them joy. And, they say if you can find what society needs and give them that, you will never be a poor man in your life. So I just realized society needs joy and peace. And even through the pandemic, I chose to do initially it was Tuesdays and Thursdays live streaming, but I've scaled it back down to Tuesdays just because, I'm traveling now, I'm performing now out and about. But I realized in times of distress, that's what people need the most. They need some kind of joy, some kind of fellowship, some kind of hope, and obviously for me to provide that to people, I have to have that within me. And the reason why I feel like I have that within me is I apply godly principles to my life. Regardless of what you believe in, I don't Buddhist, Christian, I'm Christian, but the godly principles are whatever is true, whatever is of good report, these things meditate on. If you fill yourself with good things every day, you're going to have good things come out of you. So when the gigs dried up through the pandemic, and when everything became uncertain with regards to life, I just realized that my commodity, this is when it's at its most demanded. So that's when I started doing the live streams. And so my commodity is not music. My commodity is joy and peace.
Oh, I like that. How that has to be difficult sometimes, though. That has to be difficult. So if you don't mind us going here, let's rewind the clock back to May of 2020.
Okay.
George Floyd dies. He's killed. You are a Black man in America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've seen, you and I have had real conversation before on racism. And so it's not, I know that you're not just this guy that's just glossing stuff over. You do feel and you have thoughtful reflections on these things. How was that for you, and how do you process that, but you still chose joy? You still recognize this commodity. I don't know. Unpack that a little bit for us if you can.
Yeah, I think my philosophy about life is informed by what I read, what I've been told, but also what I have deduced over the years and chosen for myself. So there's so many things to unpack there, what you just said. So with regards to May 2020, George Floyd hits, there is an anger, there's confusion, there is misinformation, there is a whole host of emotions. So the one thing I realized is to not speak or act out of emotion. That's first. It's just the thing I've learned over the years. I've realized whenever I'm angry and I say something, I regret it. Or I do something, I regret it. If you've ever been in a soccer field, I'm a soccer player, and you do something wrong or you miss a goal, and you get so angry that you punch a brick wall. Like, dummy, come on. There's only one winner here. So whenever you're emotional, you don't tend to make rational decisions. But I understood the emotion of racism. To my extent, not to the next man's extent, but I understood it for what it meant for me. I had certain negative, high, boiling temperature kind of emotion about the whole situation. But I realized that I had a part to play. And the part I had to play was, again, my commodity is joy and love and peace. So it's the rational mind says when you're met with violence, you meet it with violence too. Whereas my philosophy of life is when you're met with violence, you meet that with joy and peace. and understanding and making sure people feel like they're seen, we can kind of calm the fires down. So what I did was I chose to write a song. I don't know if you remember the song I wrote. It was called I Can't Breathe. I wrote the song and I
Yes.
put it out. And the way the song goes, I can't breathe. Is anybody listening to me? Can someone hear my cry? Is anybody listening? To kind of drive home the point that we need to listen to each other. And the whites need to listen to the blacks listen to the whites, and everyone in between. We're not just a white and black country. There's so much culture and ethnicities that we all have to stop and listen to each other. And around that time, I believe I was doing a podcast with a friend of mine. He was in the force here in Baltimore, and he couldn't understand some of the rioting that was going on around the world, around the country, even the world too. And he said he couldn't make sense of it. Then I said, and I don't know who said this, but it's a quote, but rioting is the language of the oppressed. When you don't listen to someone, eventually they act out. You have children, when you don't listen to your children, they act out, So
Yes.
I'm like, the reason why the country is acting out and its citizens are acting out is because someone feels like they're not being heard. And sadly, we live in and I could go on about this forever, but sadly, we live in a society now where there are some pros with social media. The good thing about social media is that allows us to be, entrepreneurs, connect. There's so many good things about it. I'm not knocking that at all. But it's also based off algorithms, and algorithms are designed to create an avatar of what you like. So if you happen to click on one thing and you like that thing, it gives you more and more of that. Before you know it, you now have your own echo chamber, pun intended, Nelly's Echo. You have your own echo chamber. and sadly, what that does is it closes off our minds to anything that doesn't think, act, feel, behave like us. And that's a sad place and a scary place to go. So I'll stop there, not because I don't have more to say, but just because I want to just, stop there.
What I love is you just brought that full circle. You just brought that full circle to what we've already been talking about the need for us as a society, for us as a world to listen, for us to show empathy, for people to be heard and people to be seen.
Yes.
And the consequence when that doesn't happen, right? The consequence of when that doesn't happen. Hey, one of your songs, and as I was going through your Facebook or your Instagram feed today, I had seen you post it again here recently, and you commented that it was one of your favorite originals. And for the listeners, if you have not heard Nelly's Echo play before, you gotta check him out. It's on everything from Spotify to Amazon. I would highly recommend any of his stuff. His original, I think this was your first one that you produced after The Voice. Mr. Leroy? Mr. Leroy, was that something you did before The Voice, or was that your first album that you produced after performing?
Sure. 2006, 2009, probably right around or right after. I'm not sure. I'm horrible with dates. That's one thing I'm not horrible with. So, but it's an old song now. It's probably been like, 12, 13 years now since I wrote the song.
And this song really connected with me because my wife and we used to give out these gallon-sized Ziploc bags to homeless folks in our community. And we really tried stocking it full of stuff. We knew we weren't going to solve their bigger life problems simply with a gallon-sized bag of water and socks and trail mix. But we did believe that we could sit there and share love with them and meet a basic human need right here and right now. And my Mr. Leroy was Matthew. I was fighting with my wife one day. We were in conflict on a date of all things, right? Because I'm a knucklehead guy fighting with my wife on a date. Like, what kind of guy does that? And we pull into Walmart parking lot and we both see this young man. And I remember at the time thinking, I don't want to give out a bag right now. I'm angry at my wife. I'm too busy being mad at her to go and be, benevolent towards another human being. But I just felt convicted by God. Nope. So we stopped. I got out, walked over. We shook hands, and the look on this man's face when him and I touched, and young man, because he was younger than me. And I said, hey, I'm Chris. And he's like, I'm Matthew. And there was this connection, and it was really, really special. And I think I went back to my vehicle and got back in the car with my wife, and I can't remember. I don't think I remembered what we were fighting about at that moment. And so every time when I first heard you sing Mr. Leroy at that cafe years ago, and then just me having it on auto repeat, tell me, if I remember correctly, maybe Mr. Leroy wasn't just one person. Maybe it was maybe multiple people, but that inspired you to write this song. I can't remember the story. You tell it, since it's your story to tell.
Oh yeah, I think I've told so many half truths about this song, because to be frank with you, I don't remember in terms of like the specific reason, but in general, I think it's a true story that I made up, and the true story part is the fact that every line in that song is about someone I might have met or known. But it's also, I took liberties as a musician and a songwriter to embellish the emotion of the lines and the music and the story. So, but at its core, it's simply about seeing someone again. It's about someone being seen. And Mr. Leroy is a man. So the song, the hook goes, Mr. Leroy is a man I don't understand, but it hurts me that he doesn't care. And today, I'm probably his biggest fan, but tomorrow is up in the air. Who knows, right? And the reason why I wrote that is because I feel like all of us, to some extent, are Mr. Leroy. Like, I feel like all of us sometimes don't want to be seen because we might be ashamed. We don't want to be rescued because we might think we're a lost cause, or we're damned, we're broken beyond repair. Like, listen to music nowadays. A lot of people, and look at social media. It's just a lot of people are hurting, and a lot of people are Mr. Leroy. That's why that song connects, not because people think at a much deeper level. I believe that's why the song connects. It's not because people think, oh, a homeless guy, homelessness. It's because people see themselves in the story. A good movie is when you see yourself as the hero or the villain. You can connect with the characters, or what you aspire to be or what you detest. So you can connect with those characters. And I feel like a lot of people, myself included, connect to Mr. Leroy because in some shape or form, some way, somewhere, sometime, we all were Mr. Leroy.
Yes. Wow. Thank you. And again, that's like the number one, I think. There's so much good music that I was sharing obviously with you before we hit record, that I was listening to a lot of your stuff today just because I wanted to get ready for the podcast. And so
thank you.
One of the other songs I came across, and I don't think I saw this one. You were just talking about the darn algorithms, and for the last at least few months, for whatever reason, I am no longer seeing your stuff in my algorithm, but I think I fixed that today with maxing out my number of likes for your content. Walhalla. This was a newer song, probably over the last 4 months. Am I 3 or 4 months?
Oh, no. Oh, it's been years. So actually, Walhalla was released about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, wow. I don't know why
I just put out a music video for it about a couple of months ago.
Okay, and that's what I saw. I saw the music video and kind of tell me what's the story behind Walhalla. It comes back to your Nigerian roots. Yes?
Yes. So I'm Nigerian by birth. I'm Nigerian by blood. It's, it runs in my veins, just Nigerianism, whatever that is. And I love to dance. Like, I love to dance. I also realized over the course of my playing career, I lost that aspect to my music. I would still listen to Nigerian music and sing along to it, but I didn't write that way. I wasn't dancing at my shows just because I'm a guy with a guitar. I kind of followed suit with that singer, songwriter, storyteller vibe, which is not wrong with that. That's a big chunk of who I am. So I was just reconnecting with my roots. So Walhalla in America, there's so many ways I can go with this song with regards to stories. When I wrote the song, I was thinking this song would probably appeal more to the Nigerian, people that understand the isms and the imagery I was putting in the songs. Funnily enough, when I released the song, about the next week or the next couple of weeks, I went to play a vineyard, and this older I mean, when I say old, I mean like 60, 70-year-old Caucasian man came up to me and said, I bought your EP. I love Walhalla in America. I was blown away because I'm using like what we'll call like broken English that the average no Caucasian will understand in this country. Unless you're Nigerian, you will understand the English the broken English I was using in the songs. And he said that's my favorite song. And it was at that moment I realized that music transcends language. It transcends political parties, religious beliefs. Music transcends all, and you can connect with someone that you should not, by all standards, I shouldn't be connecting with this man. We shouldn't have any shared interests. But on that level of music, we connected so deeply that it kind of gave me the validation that I craved as a songwriter and as a human being. So leading up to this year, I have another video and song, a Nigerian Afro pop song coming out next January. So I figured I need to get the ground set up for that video coming up. So I'm like, what can I do? Oh, I already have a song I did 3-4 years ago. Let me just put out a video, get people to understand this is part of my repertoire before I hit them in the face, with the real Slim Shady. Please stand up. So yeah. So
I love it.
So I never tell you what the song is about. I'm sorry. Do you want me to tell you that or not?
Yes, please.
So Walhalla in Nigerian slang simply means anything that robs you of your peace, your joy, your happiness, anything. Walhalla, bills, Walhalla, taxes, Walhalla, crazy people, Walhalla, crazy neighbors, Walhalla. So, but Walhalla in America is basically saying, tongue in cheek, that, oh my God, life is so hard. And I'm telling all my aunties and uncles and family in Nigeria that, oh, life is so hard here in America. It's just so rough. I have to work 9 to 5. Uncle Sam is taking my money, all these things. And in their heads, they're thinking themselves, you have it good. So it's kind of like a playful tongue in cheek song.
I love it. Hey, what do you have? You mentioned this new album that's going to be coming out. Is it a full album that's coming out in January, or is it just a couple of releases?
It's just a single and a video. The world has come to the place. My goal, this is my first time saying it out loud. It's been here since, so you get the exclusive. My goal is to return back into doing an album for next year. I'm going to take all of next year to write, record an album, so that way by 2023, God willing, I'll have a full-length album to present to the world. But the way the world works right now is, for an independent musician like myself to be able to compete in the landscape of the world we live in, where attention spans are like 10 seconds short, and TikTok, do the videos. I'm sure your kids did the videos. You have to just release singles and then release the videos with the singles, and then do some marketing behind that, and then keep that whole process going. Because the landscape of music has changed over the years, where if you put out an album, it's not sustainable for a long period of time. But if you put out singles with videos, you can leverage those and keep the branding and the marketing rolling over the course of a year. So
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, totally different from when I went to buy a tape from Musicland in the mall, right? Checking out the A side and the B side.
Oh, you
I actually saw oh boy, Selena, and I don't know if it wasn't the movie. I think it was like one of the Netflix specials or something like that, because there was lots of separate episodes. But she says something about B-side, and the B-side songs are the ones that a lot of times people don't remember. They remember the A-side. But if it wasn't for the musician putting in the time to write all of those songs, they would have never had the space and the opportunity for the A-side songs. So sometimes we need to go out there and do the work and just produce B-side work, because being out there and consistently doing the work in our marriages, in our communities, it creates the opportunity for the A-side, those really special moments where we have huge impact.
So
hey,
true.
You posted something recently. I can't remember what social media platform it was on. I want to say this was on your Nelly'sEcho page, but it said, I think you were working out and you posted these words: my weaknesses are not qualified to captain the ship of my life. And wow, I love it. Tell me what was going through your mind when you posted that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought it was the right marriage of that caption with me working out, because I mean, I think it's self-explanatory in the sense that a lot of times we let our weak bodies dictate how fast we run, how far we run. We let our weak minds dictate how high we climb, what we ask, how much we think, how much we value ourselves or what we have to offer the world. Sometimes we let weaknesses all around us dictate our altitude. Our attitude determines the altitude, right? And I've committed myself towards working out whenever I find weakness. I'm not always good at it with everything because I'm human, but if I find a weakness and it's something that directly conflicts with a passion of mine, i.e. musician, soccer player, physical therapist, I find a husband, if I find weaknesses in my life, I can't let those weaknesses take the front seat, the driver's, seat, and then start to dictate my life. I have to figure out a way. I have to be responsible and figure out a way to start addressing those weaknesses and take them off the driver's seat. They can stay in the passenger seat for now, and then eventually I put them in the back seat, and eventually I put them in the trunk, and eventually I'll just toss them out. So,
as they tie them to the roof, maybe they still have to come with you, but we're going to tie them onto the roof. They can experience the view from up there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, before we hit record, you had mentioned that you may want to flip the script on me. I have a few other things here I might ask you, but I don't know. What do you got for me, brother?
Oh, wow. So yeah, I have so much, but I'll start with this obvious one. What was the inspiration for starting a podcast?
Yeah, I have a pretty diverse group of friends, politically diverse, religiously diverse, diverse in pretty much any way that you can try to define and try to label us as human beings. And I was concerned, especially over the last year and a half, by the divisiveness. I would have two people that I loved and respected who I didn't believe I could have them in the same room together because you had to agree with people all the way or you had to disagree with them all the way. And I saw that play out. I saw it play out in our neighborhoods. I saw it play out in our churches. And people that, again, that I love, that I believe, now keep in mind, this is my opinion, but I believe that they were willing to fight over everything. And I was like, hey, there's things that are worth fighting over. I genuinely believe it. We all have to answer that question for ourselves and for our families, right? Where are we going to draw the line in the sand? And where are we going to take the stand on something? But if we do that, why? Why do we do it? And so I was asking myself that same question, because I wasn't taking the stand, taking stances on things that other people were, because I sat there and thought, hey guys, there's some diversity, there's some space here for us to disagree. And so when I really started drilling down to the things that I was willing to fight over, it came down to relationships. It came down to people, right? I'm willing to fight to protect people. If people threaten my neighbors, if people threaten even strangers that are defenseless, I come from a military background, and I believe as human beings, we should stand up and defend people that can't defend themselves. Also our values. Another thing from the Air Force is we had core values that they just drilled into me: integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. And that really framed my young adult life in the way I made decisions, the choices I made. And I would think back to these three core values, so much so that my wife and I sat our girls down at one point and said, what do you want our family core values to be? And Jamie and I already had some ideas what we wanted, but we recognized that if they came up with them, they would own them. There would be the ownership. And the remarkable thing is they came up with the exact same things we did, except for they just said different words. We said communication. They said we need to talk nice to each other. They talked about being kind. My wife and I talked about love. And so we framed the family core values around that. So as Jamie and I debriefed on a daily basis this last year and a half, just kind of being disheartened by watching people fight over so much and not have the capacity to listen and show empathy. We kept talking about it, and the term gravity came up at some point. How do we stay grounded? How do we, gravity is what keeps us grounded. It keeps us from floating away. Yeah. And then we sat there and said, hey, what do you think we can share some of our own experiences? And so her and I do Marriage Mondays every other Monday, and where her and I get together and talk about the same concept of gravity, but in the context of marriage. And then I wanted to sit there and interview people, because I see people like yourself that are out there, I believe, living this out, and staying grounded and still willing to fight if there needs to be a fight over something. But I see perspective from the stuff I see you projecting. And so, yeah, that was our motivation in starting this, is just hearing more about the common ground, because I believe regardless of your religion, regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of the color of your skin or your accent or all this stuff, I believe we have a lot more in common than we have that's different. And so I'd rather focus on those, and then we can talk about the other stuff too if we need to, but let's focus on the stuff that we have in common.
I find that to be very brave, because I know you intimately. I find that to be very brave for you to put yourself out there for possible, rebuke and possible, cancel. That's new. That's a new trigger word, to be canceled, because, and I applaud that. I applaud that. I think to an extent, it's much harder being you than me, in the sense that, I always call a melody a spoonful of sugar that makes the medicine go down, but when you have no melody to hide behind, and then you just have to just speak your truth. I find that harder for people to take. So I applaud you for that. And so how many interviews have you had so far, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. I know that I just released episode 9 yesterday. I have two more that are done, but that's a combination of Jamie and I doing the Marriage Mondays, and so every other one is an interview. So I want to say, and I have a couple more that I haven't finished producing. I've probably interviewed 6 or 7 people. So
wow,
yeah,
that's impressive.
It's been fun. Impressive. And the technology, right? Pre-COVID, I had never even heard of Zoom. And so and Zoom does a really good job of taking the video podcast and making it sound good. So.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, I'm really, really grateful that you had me. That must mean you think highly of me. I appreciate that. And I'll just leave you with this one thought with regards to me. Like, I am a Christian. I'm unapologetically Christian, but I don't think at any point with anyone I've come across in my time traveling that have they felt like my Christianity was something I held over them, because I tried not to do that. But the one thing I would stress is, just the life of Jesus Christ. And, just not so much, let's put aside his words for a second. Just look at the person of Jesus Christ, who is God, God in person. But think of the person and what that person represented when he walked amongst people, how generous he was, how kind he was, how gracious he was, how wherever he went, people were drawn to him. He didn't repel people. He never pushed anyone away, clean and unclean. And the only times he got angry was when people were being taken advantage of in the temple. And you could see, the priest and the people in power were taking advantage of those who were less, fortunate. That's the only time I know in the Bible that Christ got angry. So I try to model, I can never get close to it, but I try to model my life after WWJD. What would Jesus do? Like, when someone hurts me, and they do, and I'm sure I hurt people too, not willingly, but I'm sure, I might cut someone off in traffic and have no idea, I just pissed them off. But when someone hurts me, I have every inclination to want to strike back I know a little bit of grappling and jiu-jitsu. I wrestled. I want to go fight if it's a dude. Like, that instinct is there as a man. But I realized that the worst thing I can do to anyone, and this is my philosophy, this is my core philosophy here, which informs my whole life. The worst thing I can do to any man is take away the value God has put in that man or woman. So if by using my words, by using my hands, by using my actions or inactions, if I take away someone's value, it doesn't sit right with me. And the spirit that God has put in my heart, which every day is being tested by trials and temptation, and if not for his grace, I would not be where I am. So I say a lot to say this, that even if people don't believe in Christianity or even in Jesus Christ, I would urge them to believe in the philosophy of never taking away the worth in another human being. And if you just have that philosophy, it'll translate into a symptom of kindness and joy and peace wherever you go. And even if you disagree with someone, it's okay. We can still break bread together and live in peace amongst ourselves. So there.
I love it. Thanks for saying that. Hey, if someone wants to, and I don't mean to be corny here, but if someone wants to be able to sport something really cool, like this shirt that I'm currently wearing, which everyone on the audio only version can't see that. I'm wearing a Nelly'sEcho shirt that my wife and I purchased off of your store a year ago. Is it Nelly'sEcho.com? Is that the place to check out everything swag, merch related?
Did you just say swag? I'm going to tell your daughter you said that.
I don't know if that's actually a currently popular word. Sometimes I use words that were like 10 years ago. My daughter's like, Dad, that is so out of style now. And so that maybe, I don't know, is swag like a popular one? I'm not sure.
You're talking to the wrong guy. I'm 41.
Okay. Touche.
But to answer your question, yes, I actually have, as recently as 2 days ago, I have brand new merchandise for all Nelly'sEcho fans in the world. Or even non-Nelly'sEcho fans. I think you will love it. It's cool looking swag. You can go to actually Jazzical. This is my wife's online clothing store. She's hosting my merchandise on her page. And if you go to Jazzical, you see the link for Nelly'sEcho merchandise. And I'm absolutely in love with this new design I have. I reached out to a friend of mine. She's like an amazing graphic designer. And she designed this design that I'm going to use now for my logos and for my t-shirts. And it's a really, really cool, like majestic, illusions of grandeur kind of, pose. I have my guitar in my hand up, like almost like a piece, like a fist, sign. And I have this really, really grand stand, but it's my silhouette. And behind me is like a little sun. And it's almost like the sun is, melting away. It's just really cool. You got to check it out. But it's on jazzcool.com. And we got baseball caps, hoodies, t-shirts, sweaters, the whole works. So check it out. And thanks for letting me say that, by the way.
Yeah, listeners, go ahead and look down in the comments, both on YouTube and whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And I'll drop the link down there for jazzical.com and check out Nelly'sEcho. You will not be disappointed whether you sing in an original or sing in a cover. Wow. It's going to knock your socks off. This is like the time I'm supposed to be like, de-Christian-doing here, right? This is the end, but I got to share this real quick. I was teaching a leadership class 2 weeks ago. It was the same week that you opened for Plain White Tees. And another instructor likes to sit there and play music for the last 2 minutes of break. And it's a good way to bring the class back together. You're on this break. We're doing it over Zoom right now. Or whether you do it in the classroom, it works too. But you hit the play on the music and everyone starts hearing the music play and they know, hey, break's almost over. We need to get back in the classroom. And so I threw on some Nelly'sEcho and people were jamming out to it. And it was just, it was great. And then as I'm looking through your stuff and I'm seeing the Plain White Tees. I'm like, hey guys, that song I just played, he's opening for Plain White Tees here in a couple of days. And I honestly am going, I wonder if Jamie will let me fly. I'm teaching a class, so then the other instructor's gonna have to carry. No, I'm not gonna be able to do that. I have responsibilities in life as a 40-year-old man. Yeah. So, well, again, brother, thank you so much. Thank you for being a guest. But more than that, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your intentionality in what you're doing out there and making people feel seen, making people feel heard, and doing it in a very fun way. It never seems like you're preaching any of these life principles. You're doing it in a fun way, but in a way that I think people can pick it up and improve their lives because of your mindset. So thank you.
No, the feeling is mutual. I think it would never seem like I'm preaching because I live this. And birds of the same feathers flock together, and sometimes they do it on Zoom. So thanks for having me, man.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too.
Wow. What did you think, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you enjoyed listening to Nelly's thoughts. You got to check him out. He is a remarkable performer. If you're on the East Coast, especially up there in the Virginia, Washington, D.C. area, you can probably find him performing somewhere near you. If you're like me and you're over here on the West Coast, lots of content on YouTube. You can follow him on Instagram, Facebook. Check out Nelly'sEcho. If you want to see his website, it's real simple, Nelly'sEcho.com. I'm going to throw that down in the comments so that you can see that, the comments here on YouTube. Also, if you want to check out some of his clothing line, I have some myself. I absolutely love it. Check out jazzical.com. That's also going to be down in the description of this YouTube video. Ladies and gentlemen, we only get to live this life once. Let's go and take care of people, show people love and compassion, listen to people, and I think life is going to get a whole lot better around us if we're doing these things. With that, take care of yourselves, friends.